I'm not sure how to follow that. That was quite good. Thank you so much for sharing that. Your dad and I couldn't be prouder of you and the amazing woman of God that you're becoming. I love you a million inauguration introductions. And to the first gentleman, Brad, I'm only able to do what I do because of your love and support and your partnership in life. So thank you, and I love you. I also want to thank the Baylor Board of Regents who are sitting with us today on both sides of the aisle, and Chairman Allison. I sincerely appreciate the significant faith and trust that you have placed in me to lead our fabulous university at this most important time in our history. We also have some elected officials with us today, as well as many from the community, including Mayor Deaver. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support and the efforts you put into helping us to be a better place here at Baylor University. And especially to our faculty, staff, and students. Faculty, you are the backbone of the institution, the people who make the Baylor vision a reality on our campus. Staff, your steadfast support of Baylor's mission is crucial to our success as a university. And to our students, you're the reason that we're here today. And I can't thank you enough for the unbelievably warm welcome that you have provided to me and to my family as we came back to Baylor University. I'm blessed to have several other members of my family with us today. In fact, they decided they needed a name, so they called themselves All the President's Kin. My mother, Charlotte Perrick, is here. My older brother, David, you guys can stand up. My younger brother, Jim, and his wife, Desiree, are with us today. I especially want to thank my two brothers for building in me the courage and resilience that it takes to lead a university like this because of being the middle sister of two strong-willed brothers. So thank you. But I do have a fabulous family, and their love and support has been so important to me through the years. I want to thank all of you in attendance for joining us as we celebrate this exceptional university that drew us together as family in homecoming last week and that draws us together again today to honor the many ways that Baylor has flung the green and gold afar for 172 years and that Baylor will light the ways of time even more profoundly in the years to come. I'm exceptionally privileged and blessed to be here with you today. As I look back over my life's journey, I can see how God used my family, my education, and my professional experiences to bring me to Baylor, to rejoin the Baylor family at such a time as this. I believe that we are in a key moment of transition at the university, and that as we commit ourselves to fulfill our transformative university vision, we have the opportunity to build a transformational legacy that will impact students for generations to come in even more significant ways than it has in past generations. My journey begins with my parents, Doyle and Charlotte, who is with us today. I am grateful to my parents for so many things, such as raising me and my brothers Dave and Jim and my sister Diane, who wasn't able to be with us today, with a solid work ethic. And growing up on a farm in Oklahoma certainly didn't hurt at all in building that work ethic. My father, Doyle, played basketball at Oklahoma State University and in the NBA, and eventually coached basketball in Oklahoma at the university level. He came from a very small town in southwest Oklahoma, and he grew up picking cotton on the family farm. As the first person in his family to go to college, my father single-handedly established a legacy of higher education that now extends 2 generations and will be multiplied in many generations to come. Because my father received a college education, I am now able to stand before you today at this inauguration. From my father, I gained a love of athletics early in life. He instilled in me the belief that I could accomplish whatever I set my mind to if I worked at it and if I dedicated myself to it. My mother was a kindergarten and second grade teacher. She is a true servant at heart in everything she does throughout her entire life. From her, I gained the desire to serve others no matter what I was doing. This dedication to service combined with my competitive nature, led me to be involved in leadership roles from an early age. In college, I followed in my father's footsteps by attending Oklahoma State University and playing basketball. I also became involved in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, but like many of you undergraduates in the audience, I was often undecided about my future profession. But I knew that I wanted to do something that would combine my love of athletics, my desire to make a difference, and my Christian faith. As I considered professional options, I had a personal encounter during my freshman year at OSU that proved to be life-altering. You may have read the story about Brad recently in Baylor magazine, where he shares the story about his father, who had never met me. He sent Brad an article with my picture circled and told Brad, "This is the type of women you should be dating." At the time, Brad and I laughed about that. We thought that was pretty funny. But then we started running into each other at basketball practices, at FCA meetings, and we ultimately started dating our junior year. And in September of 1983, a day which happened to coincide with an Oklahoma State football game, Brad and I were married. True to form, Brad and his groommen watched the game while getting ready for the wedding, and they were cheering so loudly that you could hear them in the sanctuary before the ceremony started. And incidentally, the Cowboys beat those Aggies down Highway 6, 34-15 that day. That's right, yeah. I will be forever grateful that Brad's father sent him that copy of that OSU magazine, even though I have to say it produced one of the worst pickup lines I've ever heard. Brad is a true partner with me on life's journey and also my best friend. He has transitioned into the role of the first gentleman at Baylor with grace and with skill. I'm also very proud of Brad's work teaching at Vanguard College Preparatory School here in Waco, along with his work with veterans, particularly World War II veterans. In light of Brad's work with veterans, I would like to ask all of the active duty military and veterans who are in the audience to stand up, and let's give them a round of applause and thank them for their service. After finishing my bachelor's degree, I decided to pursue an MBA at Oklahoma State University. During that program, one of my professors asked me if I had ever considered pursuing a PhD. I really hadn't ever thought about that, but that one comment planted a seed in me that stuck with me over several years and eventually motivated me to go back to OSU to earn a doctorate in business administration. This experience constantly reminds me of how influential faculty can be in the lives of students. I loved working on my PhD. I was exhilarated by the prospect of spending a career facilitating people's learning and knew I'd finally found my professional calling. Fortunately for me, Baylor had an opening in my field when I graduated, and we moved here to Waco in 1991. It was a perfect fit. The Christian environment was stimulating, the academic environment was challenging, and I was able to continue in my involvement in athletics on the Faculty Athletics Council here. In fact, my opportunity to serve on Faculty Athletics Council came in part because of my skills as a basketball player. In my second or third year at Baylor, the university hosted a faculty free throw shooting contest as part of Midnight Madness when they kicked off basketball season. As I arrived that night and lined up along the baseline right here in this very arena, I think it was on this end of the court, as a matter of fact, I looked down the baseline and I noticed that I was the only female faculty member lined up along with 20 or so male faculty members in the competition. Brad was actually sitting in the stands and overheard some of the fans saying, "Why in the world did they allow a girl in the competition?" As luck and maybe just a little bit of talent would have it, I actually won that free throw shooting contest. The next year, I actually won the competition again, and for some reason they canceled it after that. I'm not sure why. I'm actually kind of wondering if they'd be interested in bringing that back now that I'm president. It was amazing how much visibility I had on campus after winning that first competition, and how many opportunities I then had for involvement in leadership, including serving on the Faculty Athletics Council. Shortly after receiving tenure at Baylor, I was asked to serve as Associate Dean for Graduate Programs in the Business School, which launched my career in academic administration. Just as significantly, I was able to witness the transformative impact of a distinctly Christian approach to higher education in the lives of students, and as a result, I began to develop a passion for faith-based models of academic research and teaching. I owe a very special thanks to Dr. Dawn Edwards, our mace bearer today, who was my department chair at the time, and encouraged me to consider academic administration. And Dawn may have actually been the first person to suggest I should consider being a dean or maybe even a university president someday. So Dawn, thank you so much for your encouragement and support. I also need to thank Dean Terry Manus, and Terry's down here in the audience somewhere. I can't see because of the lights, but he's down here somewhere. He gave me my first administrative leadership opportunity as Associate Dean for Graduate Programs in the Hank Ammer School of Business. So Terry, thank you so much for getting me set on this pathway to academic leadership. Our daughter Shelby was also born during our time in Waco. Brad and I are so proud of Shelby that she has grown up to continue our family's legacy of student athletes by playing volleyball at Rice University. And we are thrilled to see how her experiences at Rice are shaping her into a godly woman of character and grace. Having met Shelby today, you can see why we are so proud of her. And going to sporting events, especially Shelby's events, remain one of our favorite family pastimes. Although lately, given how few challenges and changes Brad and I are experiencing in our life right now, we've also been spending quite a bit of time with our new first puppy, Boo, spelled B-U, of course. But let me return to my narrative. My first 11 years at Baylor were very happy ones, and we had no intentions of leaving. However, a colleague of mine in the management department, Dr. Blaine McCormick, stopped by my office one day and told me that he had nominated me to be the dean of the business school at Pepperdine University's Grazia Dio School of Business and Management. Now, that nomination was unexpected, and Brad and I knew that it would be a very major change for our family. In fact, Brad's first reaction was, why would we want to leave Baylor, and where is Pepperdine anyway? When I told him Malibu, California, he said, well, we should at least go out and visit. As Brad describes it, we then bathed the decision in prayer and ultimately felt God leading us to Pepperdine. Word of advice here, if you ever feel called to Malibu, California, just know that people take that calling with a grain of salt. I was similarly happy and fulfilled in California, but I started to wonder about next steps in my journey after several years at Pepperdine, and as I had calls to consider other opportunities as deans, provosts, and even presidents. I began to sense that the leadership skills I was honing as a dean, along with my growing passion for distinctively Christian higher education, might one day lead me to yet a higher level of administrative service, possibly even returning to Baylor. But first, I took another crucial step in my journey by going to George Washington University in Washington, D.C. to be dean of their business school in 2014. In retrospect, I realize how formative my combined experiences at Pepperdine and GW were to my development as a leader. I went into difficult situations at both institutions and sometimes wondered if I had actually made the right choice. Brad always had faith, however, and many times told me that God was preparing me for something even more significant. Well, that something, of course, occurred earlier this year when I received the call informing me that I'd been selected as the 15th president of Baylor University. I felt that once again God was asking me to take a leap of faith. As with every other move we had made at that point, Brad, Shelby, and I understood that accepting this position would be a major change for our family. I also knew that I would be returning to Baylor at a very rough time, given the issues of sexual violence confronting the university. Even from a distance, I was fully aware of the pain that you, the Baylor family, was experiencing due to incidents of interpersonal violence on our campus. I also understood that we would continue to deal with ongoing investigations and issues for at least 18 to 24 more months. So Brad, Shelby, and I once again bathed the decision in prayer. It soon became evident to all of us that God was bringing us back home to Baylor. I was excited by the opportunity not only to return to a university that I loved, but to a place I felt God had been preparing me to lead for many years. I accepted the call not in spite of recent institutional difficulties, but because of them. Every crisis is an opportunity to learn and to rebuild. And I truly believed that God wanted me to assume that task at this particular point in Baylor's history. But most importantly, I wanted to return because of the university's mission. I knew that Baylor was one of the most visible, ambitious Christian universities in the nation, and I wanted to be a part of this distinct academic vision. As I reintroduced myself to Baylor, over the past few months, I have been struck by how many people on this campus share a similar sense of calling to our Christian academic mission. And Baylor's mission is indeed compelling. Our aspiration to integrate academic and teaching excellence with an uncompromising Christian identity positions this university to have a transformational impact on our students, on higher education, and on the world. Higher education is in a significant time of change and challenge. Colleges and universities are being criticized for being disconnected from society, lacking coherent values or applicability to real life. There is also growing disagreement over how higher education should shape leaders of character. Baylor's Christian commitment equips us to address these challenges in significant and meaningful ways. We have said that our goal is to achieve preeminent research status, what we in academics call Tier 1 status. This goes beyond beyond achieving what the Carnegie Foundation defines as highest research activity, or R1 status. Our strategic plan outlines a vision for achieving R1 status, but also encompasses much more than that. At Baylor, we want to produce leading scholarship in every major field while simultaneously providing high-quality undergraduate and graduate education, and we want to do all of this from an uncompromising Christian identity. Here, achieving preeminent research status means bringing our intellectual energy, institutional resources, and Christian values to bear in addressing global conversations about crucial issues, including human rights, economic growth, diversity, social responsibility, healthcare, and ethics, among others. We aspire to cultivate leaders who devote their training and talents to generating innovation and discovery in every field, from the sciences to the humanities, politics to education, business to the arts. Baylor is one of the few Protestant universities in the nation pursuing this particular vision to be a top-tier research university. The challenge of bringing critical research and excellent teaching alongside committed Christian principles, allowing each of these elements to inform and animate the others, is the defining feature of our identity in a way that few other institutions can claim. For this reason, I believe we can have a unique voice within higher education and the culture at large. That's great news because the world needs a place like Baylor. The world needs a Baylor that uses our programs in government, business, and law to produce leaders of society, people who will confront challenges such as poverty, human rights, and environmental sustainability, while seeking to fulfill the mandate of Micah 6:8, to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. The world needs a Baylor that marshals its intellectual and human talents to improve lives across the globe, as demonstrated by our Engineers with a Mission, the Louise Harrington School of Nursing, and the Garland School of Social Work, among others. The world needs a Baylor that engages scholars and ministers from Truett Seminary or the Institute for the Study of Religion to shape the future of the evangelical life of faith in this nation and around the world. The world needs a Baylor that provides stellar education in music, theater, art, and literature to cultivate beauty and creativity, which contributes to human flourishing and celebrates the fullness of God's creation. The world needs a Baylor that demonstrates the richness of the Christian life of the mind through programs such as theology and biblical scholarship, philosophy, and history. The world needs a Baylor that is at the forefront of scientific and medical innovation, empowering scholars in such fields as biology, psychology, and sociology to address the grave challenges facing society. Ultimately, our vision affirms the world needs a preeminent research university that is unambiguously Christian, where such a commitment does not imply a lack of scholarly inquiry, but rather requires scholarship and creative endeavors at the highest levels of quality to complement and inform teaching and service. Baylor exists to demonstrate that faith is not a deterrent to scholarship. Rather, it is the very motivation for discovering the richness of creation. It compels us to engage with issues spanning the intellectual and ideological spectrum, combating provincialism and prejudice by fostering productive dialogues that ultimately bring our discoveries to bear in tackling the most complex problems facing society. There are certainly high stakes involved in pursuing such a mission. There are many critics who argue that it's impossible to achieve status as a distinguished research university while also maintaining a Christian identity. We are also mindful of times when we have faltered in this situation. Yet, these experiences should give us even more incentive to redouble our pursuit of the vision outlined in Pro Futuris. If any university is called to exhibit caring community and to raise the bar in the area of student well-being, it is a Christian institution like Baylor. If any university is compelled to engage in research that offers solutions to complex problems and shapes ideas at the highest levels of the academy and society, it is a Christian institution like Baylor. Thus, when critics charge that our vision for achieving top-tier, Tier 1 research status is impossible, I believe they underestimate the power of Baylor and the power of God. Looking to the future, then, I am inspired by the message of Romans 12:2 that was shared earlier today. Do not conform to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Given our distinct institutional mission, our progress toward transformation and renewal as a university family may be different than that at other institutions. Baylor certainly has a tremendous tradition to draw upon, but we also embrace innovative ways to address new challenges and cultivate new opportunities in light of our faith. As we work to achieve preeminent research status, Baylor will maintain the emphasis on transformational undergraduate and graduate education. We will continue to prioritize excellent teaching and the formation of students as whole persons, shaping learners intellectually, physically, and spiritually in a safe and secure campus environment. We will also maintain a steadfast commitment to a caring Christian culture that celebrates the diversity so vividly represented on our campus. Baylor's dedication to fostering and nurturing the diversity of our students, faculty, and staff makes us stronger as a community, with each person contributing his or her perspectives and enriching wisdom gained from their unique pathway through life. As I see it, our pursuit of preeminent research status only energizes our commitment to transformational faith-based education. By providing students with academic and professional education of the highest caliber, we equip them with values-based leadership that makes a positive difference in the world. We have already seen this happen many times in the state of Texas, where alumni have served and continue to serve as innovative statewide leaders in areas like technology, finance, biomedicine, and politics. Many of those leaders are actually with us today. This impact is multiplied with our alumni across the country and around the world. Inspired by these examples, we will continue to produce graduates dedicated to leadership and service. We will also continue building a nationally competitive athletics program that is consonant with Baylor's Christian mission. As a former student athlete, married to a student athlete, the parent of a student athlete, and the daughter of a student athlete, I know firsthand just how transformative top-notch athletic programs can be and how vital these students are to our university culture. We will develop athletics programs that also adhere to our academic standards and our Christian values. We haven't always done this as well as we can, but we can and we will build a model of athletic achievement that produces student athletes who also succeed academically and exemplify character that reflects our Christian commitment and is a source of pride for the Baylor family. Most significantly, as we look to the future, we will build out the next phase of our strategic plan and expand efforts to support our academic enterprise. We will work to ensure that Baylor gains a seat at the table in the area of preeminent research, producing renowned scholarship that, in the words of our vision statement, illuminates solutions to significant challenges confronting our world. At the same time, we will integrate this academic excellence with strong Christian commitment. We will foster an institutional context in which faith animates research, providing the moral impetus and creative energy to produce scholarship of the highest quality. As we move into phase 2 of our strategic plan, Baylor will take concrete steps to realize this academic vision, including further expansion of our graduate and professional degree programs, generating additional forms of revenue that strengthen our academic enterprise, and enhancing institutional infrastructures that facilitate success. These are the goals we have been working toward in recent years, and we have made remarkable progress in the areas of teaching, student success, research, and scholarship. But there is still much more work to be done. We are entering a key transitional moment in the life of our university when we must dedicate ourselves to finishing the race we have started. Such work will not be easy, yet that is the essence of transformation. As poet laureate Philip Levine writes, transformation is the time to strain, to pull at yourself until you assume the shape you want to be. God knows what that is. Many universities aspire to achieve top-tier research status, but few pursue this goal with the intent of maintaining a Christian identity that informs and motivates scholarly ambitions. Baylor embraces this challenge. We have the opportunity to work together as Baylor family to ensure that this vision continues to become a reality and thereby transforms Baylor's future. To close, let me illustrate the power of Baylor's distinct mission by sharing with you the story of Dr. James Chang, who graduated in August with a PhD in chemistry. James shared these words with our regents in a devotional at our July board meeting, and this is what he said. I was raised in a Presbyterian home, but what I really believed in was professional success. I dreamt of becoming a scientist. I got my BS and MS from secular schools in California. In my mind, faith and science couldn't coexist. I decided to come to Baylor because I was given the chance to help a professor set up his lab. When I first met Dr. Sung-Joon Kim, I was surprised by how he treated me as an equal, not as a subordinate. This was contrary to what I had experienced when I was working on my master's. But it wasn't just my advisor. I came to know many more believers here at Baylor, especially the undergrads, and through my interactions with them, I came to know how little I understood about my faith. 2 years ago, one student asked me how I knew that I was saved. That question led me to a very lengthy self-examination, and through the grace of God, I discovered my faith and dedicated my life to serving God. I now had a purpose for doing science. Before, I was doing science for myself. Now I do it to bring glory to His name. When scientists read my journal articles, they see Baylor under my affiliation. Some will know that we're a faith-based institution that exalts God. They will see that we do world-class research and that faith and science can successfully coexist. That reason is what drives me. Faith has given me purpose here at Baylor. It is because of the James Changs that our aspirations to be a Tier 1 preeminent Christian research university are so important. James' life was transformed at Baylor. James will glorify God through his research. James will influence hundreds and thousands of lives for Christ through his years as a teacher and scholar. That happens because we are a Christian research university. That happens because we're Baylor University. The calling before us is challenging yet significant. We must be bold in our aspirations because the world needs a place like Baylor. The world needs a Baylor that raises the bar in the area of Christian higher education, combining the riches of undergraduate, professional, and graduate education with rigorous research, high-quality athletics, and unwavering faith commitment. The world needs a Baylor that brings our religious identity, institutional resources, and human talents to bear in generating creative solutions to complex problems. The world needs a Baylor that is committed to finishing the race we have started, striving to achieve preeminent status as a research university that is unambiguously Christian. When we can accomplish this goal, we will articulate and embody an exceptional vision for 21st century Christian higher education and produce graduates with wisdom, innovation, and leadership skills required to make a difference in the world. The world needs Baylor University. I am grateful that God brought me to this place at this time to pursue this significant mission with you, the Baylor family. Thank you, and God bless you.